On the morning of July 1, 2018, France was stunned when Rédoine Faïd, a notorious criminal, successfully executed a helicopter escape from Réau prison, located south of Paris. The meticulously organized breakout shocked the entire nation and exposed serious security flaws in the French prison system. Rédoine Faïd, born on May 10, 1972, in Créau, grew up in a poor and crime-ridden environment. From an early age, he was drawn into a life of crime and quickly became infamous for orchestrating bank and armored truck robberies. His heists were inspired by movies such as Scarface and Heat, where he idolized the criminal characters portrayed by Robert De Niro and Al Pacino. After years of criminal activity, Faïd was captured and sentenced to a long prison term. In 2013, he used explosives to break out of Sequedin prison, but was recaptured after just 6 weeks. Since then, the security at facilities housing Faïd had been significantly tightened. However, Faïd never abandoned his desire to escape. During his time at Réau prison, he discovered a critical vulnerability. One of the prison yards lacked an anti-helicopter net. This opened the door for a bold plan. On July 1, 2018, 2 masked and armed accomplices stormed a flight school in Fontenay-Trésigny, a suburb of Paris. They took a young pilot hostage and forced him to take off under their orders. Throughout the flight to the prison, one of the assailants kept a gun pressed to the pilot to maintain control, while the other prepared for the ground assault. When the helicopter landed in the prison yard, where no netting prevented entry, one attacker immediately disembarked. The other stayed with the pilot, ready to suppress any resistance or alert. The attacker swiftly moved through security areas, using a sledgehammer to break through locked doors without firing a shot. He broke into the visiting area where Rédoine Faïd was meeting with his brother. Faïd immediately ran with the accomplice. The two rushed across the yard to the waiting helicopter, which had its engine still running. Once everyone was aboard, the helicopter lifted off, flying away before any response team could intervene. The entire extraction from landing to takeoff lasted less than 10 minutes. After escaping, the group flew to an open field in Gonesse, northeast of Paris. There they set the helicopter on fire to destroy evidence and switched to getaway vehicles that had been strategically positioned. They changed vehicles multiple times along pre-planned routes to evade capture. News of the escape spread nationwide within hours. The French government issued a national alert. All entry and exit points around Paris, airports, train stations, and toll booths were placed under tight surveillance. Nevertheless, Rédoine Faïd disappeared without a trace. For over 3 months, he moved between safe houses around Paris, using disposable phones and sophisticated disguises to avoid recognition. On October 3, 2018, French special police raided an apartment in Créteil, Faïd's hometown. He was arrested without resistance. Inside the apartment, authorities seized weapons, cash, and forged documents. Evidence suggested that Faïd was already planning another escape attempt. Following this event, the French government was compelled to implement major reforms in the prison system. Anti-helicopter nets were installed over all high-sectory prison yards, management rules for dangerous inmates were tightened, and intelligence sharing between security agencies was strengthened. Rédoine Faïd's name has since become part of France's criminal history, symbolizing audacity and unprecedented sophistication. Pascal Payet, born in 1963, was another infamous French criminal known for his daring armored truck heists and for achieving the unprecedented feat of escaping prison twice by helicopter. In 1997, Payet participated in an armored truck robbery in Salon-de-Provence, which resulted in the death of a security guard. He was sentenced to 30 years in prison. On October 12, 2001, Payet carried out his first helicopter escape. The plan began with his accomplices renting a civilian helicopter. During the flight, they pulled out firearms and forced the pilot to fly directly to Louhans prison. At the prison yard, the helicopter landed, and Pascal Payet, along with 3 other inmates, sprinted out, boarded the helicopter, and fled before guards could react. The helicopter later landed in a remote forest where it was set on fire to erase any traces. Payet and his accomplices then scattered, escaping by car. After nearly 2 years on the run, Payet was captured in Spain in 2003. It seemed that his days of daring escapes were over, but Payet was not finished. On July 14, 2007, Bastille Day, France's national holiday, he orchestrated a second helicopter escape. Another civilian helicopter was rented by his associates. Again, the pilot was threatened at gunpoint. The helicopter flew straight to Grasse prison. Circling the area first, the helicopter lowered a rope ladder into the prison yard. Pascal Payet, waiting below, climbed up swiftly and was pulled aboard. Within minutes, the helicopter disappeared from the scene. Once again, the group destroyed the helicopter at an abandoned field and fled by car. However, this time, Payet's notoriety led to a rapid manhunt. After just 6 weeks on the run, he was apprehended again in Spain. Since then, Payet has been held under extremely strict security measures. He has been regularly transferred from one prison to another every month to prevent him from organizing another escape. Both Rédoine Faïd and Pascal Payet demonstrated that, in the criminal underworld, those with strategic minds and fearless determination could challenge even the most seemingly impenetrable security systems. Their helicopter escapes were not merely sensational events, but lasting reminders that in the battle between security forces and the creativity of criminals, complacency is the most dangerous enemy.